Hello. In this video, we talk about profiles. Right? All of us know that if you want to get into the top MBA colleges in India, most of the colleges will not give you an admission based only on your CAT score. There are other things as well that are considered. Right? That is the profile. That is what you have been doing till that point in your academic career or career otherwise. What are the areas on which colleges give you marks, or what are the areas on which you are rated? In most of the colleges, the profile components for which you get marks are your class 10th and 12th score. The logic here is very simple. The higher your score, the better marks you get. Typically, it is in brackets. For example, say from 80 to 100 you will get some sort of a score, from 60 to 80 you will get a lesser score, from 40 to 60 you will get a still lesser score. So for every college the criteria is different. How those marks or the weightage that the marks have is different, but again, almost in every college there is some weightage given to the 10th and 12th score. Then comes the graduation stream that you are in, because most of the colleges would want their batch to be a diverse batch. Typically, there are marks for graduation streams, and if you look at IIMs, you will realize that further away you are from engineering or closer you are to a management program, you will get higher marks. So people with BBA, BCom, arts background tend to get higher marks. People with technical backgrounds tend to get lower marks. Engineers typically get nothing for this. Then is your grad score, like your 10th and 12th score, the weightage is given to your grad score. That has changed a little bit over this corona period, because in the last 2 years we know our graduation scores have increased because our ability to understand the graduation studies has increased, or the exams were online, one or the other. So there is some change that has happened in the weightage given to grad scores, but still they are considered. Then is your work experience. Again, work experience typically tends to increase, or the marks given for work experience tend to increase till about 3 years, and then they tend to fall down. So if you have a work experience from 1 to 3 years, chances are your marks will keep on increasing. If you have a work experience more than 3 years, for Indian colleges, marks tend to decrease. Then there is gender again, because of diversity. Females are typically given some marks in most of the colleges. Male students are not. Then there is quality of education. I think Lucknow has this parameter, and then there are a few other colleges that give you marks based on quality of education. And lastly, extracurricular activities. Most of the colleges do not have explicit marks for extracurricular activities, but one college, specifically SP Jain, gives a lot of weightage to this, because when SP Jain comes out with their calls, it actually happens before the CAT results are out as well. So the call there is based on a lot on your extracurricular activities as well. Apart from that, if you have been participating in activities or you have some experience, that bodes well for you in the interview, because you have things to discuss. Right? And how do the weightages vary? Some examples I have. For example, IIMA gives about 35%, that is a little more than 1/3 weightage to your profile, 65% CAT and then PI. IIM Calcutta, this year the criteria is that out of 85 marks, 66%, that is 55 marks will be because of CAT, and the rest will be profile based. MDI tends to give, again, a good weightage to CAT, 55%, only 15% weightage to the profile. And then there is SPGen, which comes out with its calls before the CAT result is out. When I say CAT, I mean CAT result. And then there is FMS, which gives again a 50% weightage to CAT. So if you look at, say, an MDI, you'll see 85% of the weightage is based on CAT and your personal interview. So this is something that that does not really include what you have done till now. Whereas colleges like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, SP Gen will tend to give higher weightage to your profiles, right? So irrespective of where you are, you still, of course, have a chance of making it to a top college, but your profile will play an important role. And what happens when that profile is not there, or there are gaps in the profile? Things like these. So I know of a student who had a 99.89 percentile, had 5 IIM calls. This is a little way back. So I know of him very well, because this is me. in that year I could not convert any IIM because my profile was not very good. I was 80, 80, 60, 10, 10 graduation, engineer, fresher, no work, no extracurricular activities. Now, technically speaking, I could not have increased my 10th, 12th graduation scores. Graduation score did not really increase, it kept on decreasing. Work experience did not change, but the next year I was able to convert one of the colleges, namely IIM Ahmedabad, right? What probably changed was what happened in the interview. So when I say profile, I'm not just saying the explicit marks that you get, but your overall experience that will happen, what you will do in the interview, how you will answer questions also derive a lot from your profile, and those are things that you can work upon as well. Then you will see people with 97 percentiles having a couple of IIM calls not converting because of profiles, and the flip side is a 91.34 percentile, 0 IIM calls. But this is a girl who made it to SPGN. Excellent 10-12 score, very good extracurricular activities, good graduation score, a DU student, so a non-engineer, was able to convert SPGN at 91.34 percentile. A 92.54, just one IIM call, was IMA converted because again very strong profile, grade 10th and 12th, high diversity score, was a fresher technically, but yes, was able to convert. And why these profiles are important is because these profiles do not stop just at getting you into the college. When you sit for your summer placements, when you sit for your final placements, your profile is again looked at. And therefore, with a good profile, she was able to convert PWC as well in college. That is where she got placed. Right? And therefore, these profiles will keep on having an effect, not just in getting you into the college, but beyond that. Right? So if we just look at those profile components to see what we can do, class 10 score won't change. Class 12 score won't change. Graduation stream. Now, since you have been in that stream for 2-3 years, there's a very good chance you wouldn't want to change it, or otherwise your parents would ensure that you don't, right? Graduation score. Every semester when the semester starts, we tell ourselves that this will be different, we'll work hard and things will change. That feeling stays for about 7 days, and then we realize jo chal raha hai sahi. Whatever is going on is nice, let it go on. So you wish it changes, I hope it does for you, but yeah. Work experience, again, this may or may not be an option. If I am a fresher and want to get into college this year itself without actually dropping, this is not an option for me. But again, if you're prepared for GAT, you want to work, you can always do that and get some marks here. Gender, I really don't think someone will go about changing their gender for CAT or getting into an IIM. So yeah, quality of education, the quality won't change. Hopefully this will be acceptable quality. Extracurriculars, there is some scope. So technically speaking, your profile would not change too much. All that you can do is probably work on your extracurriculars a little bit, and maybe look at that option where you work for some time and then go in for a MBA, right? So why this discussion on profiles? Well, again, as I said, it is not just the explicit marks that you get, but your interviews are make or break as well. When I mentioned the weightages given by colleges, there was a 35% weightage to interviews, there was 30% weightage to interviews. It is important what happens in the interview, right? And your profile will play an important role, your experiences will play an important role in that interview for sure, right? And therefore profiles are critical. What is there to build? Well, since we are going for an MBA, think of what an MBA should look like. If I ask you, what should a future MBA student be like? The kind of adjectives that you will associate with a fresh IIM pass out. Different words come to mind. Innovative, leader, hardworking, smart worker, things like that. So think of that character sketch. Typically, your profile has to have the qualities, or at least glimpses of those adjectives in what you have done in your past life, so that the interviewers are able to project that with you going forward, right? And how will they check these qualities? They will obviously ask questions. So think of the questions that can be asked in your profile. Think of the areas that you would want to work on. So if you're someone who wants to get into marketing, have you done anything related to that field practically? It's a very basic question that would come. Someone goes into the interview, says, okay, I want to do a lot of things for the world. I am a very socially responsible person. What have you done so far? You're a 22-year-old, right? So think of what questions could come, and then that could be a good direction that you can follow to build your profile or work on areas related to your profile. Your learnings are important, because these learnings, these experiences will be the sum total that you'll take into the interview, and that will be checked through questions, right? So as I said, you may not get marks outrightly for them, but these experiences will help you a lot in ensuring that you get into the college finally. Why it is important to think of these now? Because see, technically speaking, you ask me, you want to get a say 90 percentile in maths in CAT, 5 days you can do that. All you have to do is go through 5 topics and ensure that you do those questions. But if I ask you to work on your profile, that will not happen in 5 days. It takes time. If you want to do a basic certification course, it will take you 3 months. If you want to show that you have been working with an NGO, you would have to go there and work for some time. It cannot happen overnight. And therefore, these are things that will keep on going, which will have to be worked upon over time to be presentable in the interview, so that they become something that you can use in the interview. So again, the fit kind of becomes clear. For example, say a college like XLRI, which talks a lot of social responsibility. They go out and do a lot of work in the social field. If you are someone who has prior experience in that field, or you are someone who has been doing those things, it shows well in the interview, shows a good college fit, shows a good culture fit for you and the college, and therefore your chances of getting into a college increase, right? So what can you work upon? Very briefly, these are the areas. You can work on your professional experience. You can work on your domain knowledge. Domain knowledge could be something that you're doing now, something that you want to do in the future. Practical application of things. Leadership positions are critical, because technically, when you go in for an MBA, this is what you want to be after you pass out, right? You would be holding leadership positions in companies that you work for. You could be an entrepreneur where you will be the leader of your company, and therefore that starts from college typically. And try to show a personality which is not unidimensional. It has multiple dimensions. Therefore, anything that you think you're good at, or you think you can become good at with some practice, sports, dance, drama, feel free to participate, right? So individually speaking, what do we look at? Professional experience. Now the CAT brochure or the CAT advertisement clearly says any work experience will be counted when it is number one after graduation, because if you were in college, you could not be working full time, otherwise you were not in college properly. It has to be full time after graduation, full time and paid, right? For someone who is in college, this is not an option. By definition, it is not an option. Therefore, you can go for internships. Post-COVID, something that has changed is a lot of internships are available from home as well in a lot of fields. Marketing, market research for that matter, finance. There are a lot of internships available. A lot of companies are open to that idea now, because for almost 1.5, 2 years, most of their workforce were working in that manner. Earlier, that did not used to happen, right? And therefore, look for domain specific internships. You want to major in finance, look for finance related internships, see how that area works out, work in that area for some time, right? As I said, a lot of opportunities are available online. You can look at websites like Internshala, Let's Intern, Indeed, Freelancer, etc. The list goes on. Keep your eyes open, post your resumes, look for domain specific updates that keep coming, and get in touch with companies, right? In the interview, there is a very good chance this will be picked up. If you have worked, you will have solid things to answer. You would not have to think of what would they ask me when I go in the interview. Why do you want to do marketing? Why do you want to pursue a career in marketing? Sir, it is an interest. I've been working in this field for some time. I have some practical knowledge, and therefore I see myself doing this. Gives a lot of weightage to your answer, gives a lot of credibility. Then there are projects. A lot of IIMs also come out with short-term projects. Again, just be on the lookout. You will find this. Most of these projects are online. They will give you some professional experience in the field that you want to get into eventually. Practical experience is required. NGO work goes very well with this. Why working in an NGO is good is because Of course, their work is important. Social awareness is important. At least fits into a good, makes a good fit for the college. And when you are actually working in that field, typically you're trying to solve problems with limited resources, right? And therefore, that is an important skill to have for a manager, right? So it makes you feel happy about yourself. At least you've done something for the society. A lot of colleges appreciate it as well, and it gives you very good practical knowledge as to how to work on the field. There are certification courses that happen in today's day and age. Advanced Excel, digital marketing, blockchain, Google AdWords, data science are some of the top fields that are there. A lot of universities are doing programs online. There are, again, international universities, Indian universities, Ivy League colleges. You can look for these programs as well. Give you very good understanding of the subject, will be related to what you want to do, and therefore, again, as I said, a good fit. If you are someone who wants to get into finance and do not have a financial background, CFA is a certification that is very popular in Indian colleges. Happens in 3 levels. Lot of IIMs you go into, you'll see students have completed their at least level 2s by the time they are about to graduate from the IIM. Right? Then there are conferences, for example, Global Financial Conference is one that you can look at. Again, whenever you're looking at a course or any practical experience, you have to understand the learning is important. Because at the end of the day, in the interview, you will be asked, what have you learned? You will be asked questions based on that learning. And therefore, whatever you do, the learning is important. The certificate per se is of almost no value. It will not give you marks for sure. Right? So what you have experienced, what you know is what matters. Overall, you would want to work on yourself. Since it is a time-taking process, takes a bit of practice. The things that you can do is, number one, extracurricular activities. Now that colleges are open, there is a lot of scope for this. Online, the scope was limited, but once the college is open, you are in college, a lot of activities happen. You can pick up new languages, a connected world. There is a skill set required to pick up a new language, helps. French, German, Chinese for that matter, right? Leadership positions in college, as I said, help a lot in your CV, and not just for the college but beyond it as well. When you sit for your summer internships, please understand, when you go into an MBA college, your summer internships will start in about 3.5 months, right? That is when you start applying to companies. Till then, you would not have had too much exposure in the college per se, right? And therefore, most of your scores that you get for the summer internship or your chance of selection will depend on what you have done before you got into that IIM or that MBA college. All of these things go a long way in ensuring that you get a good call from a company and then eventually convert. Right? As I said, college is open. A lot of a lot of opportunities to participate in competitions as well. Typically start from intra-college and then try to graduate to inter, state and national level championships or competitions. Overall development, what you can do is develop a hobby, right? Especially when you're preparing full-time or preparing with that kind of intensity, it's a good escape area that you have. You feel heavy, you feel, you think you've invested too much, you always have something to fall back on. Typically go for a hobby that is skill based. Also, these are things that help you multitask, right? Oratory skills are critical. In the interview, at the end of the day, you are as good as what you say, what you speak. So work on these skills. Read as much as you can, and the idea for reading is simple. Read. Pick up a good source, reading newspapers, sitting down, reading about the field that you want to graduate in, reading about current developments. All of it goes a long way in helping you build a personality which can sit in a room and hold a discussion, which can sit in an interview and answer questions. Right? You never know what you've read might be used in which area, but definitely helpful. Oratory skills and reading are critical parts. A lot of students do not pay too much attention to this, and therefore after CAT, when they have about a month's time, before the interview, all of the pressure starts to mount then there, and then you're trying to go back as much as possible, but that knowledge will not be something that has been developed over time. So if you are preparing for CAT, if you want to get into a good college, these are things that you should spend time on. Do not do them as part of your preparation plan as part of your work. Do them as something that you maybe are doing to unwind, right? Work on your social presence, community-based and entrepreneurial. Typically, help overall. The important question: why MBA? Again, as I said, all of these things that I've been talking about, all of these will become small parts that will add up to that story of your why MBA, right? And the sum typically is more than the sum of parts. The whole is typically more than the sum of parts. And therefore, if you have something that you have done in the past, if you have some credible information to share why you are interested in that area, if there is credibility, there is a very good chance that you will not have to use those global words, and the interviewers will believe in what you're saying. When you say why MBA and you say I have a certification in digital marketing, I have done a part of market research, I have worked as a business development. I worked in a business development internship. It makes a lot of sense for you to say, therefore, I'm interested in this field. Right? It shows that you have those skills that can be worked upon, and you can become a leader in that field going into the future. It shows you have clarity, right? And therefore, the most important question, the most tricky question in the interview, especially for freshers, gets answered. Also, as I said, it goes beyond your admission, all of this, because all of these are points on your CV. This CV will be used not only in your college, but after that for your summer placement, after that for your final placement. Your summer placements, you might not have anything to show that you have done in the MBA college. So all of it will depend on what you have done previously, right? Once you have experience in any of these fields, you're someone who has been participating in competitions, you can take that forward in your MBA college as well. And therefore, grab more opportunities for yourself, and therefore help you set up for your final placement. That is the importance of profile, right? Basic thumb rules you have to understand is, most of the areas that colleges give you marks upon are almost set. Your graduation marks might increase to some extent. You might decide to work for some years and then go for an MBA. You might work on your extracurricular activities a little bit, and therefore help in your application process for the colleges. But that does not mean you cannot get into a college if you do not have a very strong profile, because CAT always plays an important role. A good score in CAT will definitely help you ensure that you get good college calls, number one. Number two, when we say profile, there are a lot of implicit points that do not get stated in that mark sheet or that weightage wala thing. And therefore, those are areas that should be worked upon. If you work upon those areas, those things will be used multiple times, and as you go forward, they'll keep becoming more and more important, right? Basic thumb rules are, number one, in all of these areas, the learning is important. The certificate is not, the learning is. Do not try to fake, because no one likes to cheat. And whenever you have a question, please understand, you have to invest time, not necessarily money, right? So if you're trying to learn something, it has to give you some deliverable, some concrete knowledge. Just by spending money and getting a certificate will not help you anywhere in the interview, because the moment you sit and it appears that it is a fake certificate, or you've not actually gained anything out of it, all of that effort goes to zero, right? And throughout this, you have to remember, your extracurriculars cannot be at the cost of your academics, because at the end of the day, graduation marks will also be counted. So make sure you're able to make a balance, because again, that balance is critical in your college as well. Once you get into an MBA college, you will be expected to do a lot of things and maintain your academics side by side. So if you're able to show the interviewers that you can do it at the graduation level, bodes well for your final selection. The basic point being, enjoy. If you're doing these things, if you're enjoying these things, you will be able to make more sincere effort in building your profile, and therefore will have a good output as well, right? Basic things, but start today, because tomorrow is always late, and if you're waiting for CAT and then you think you will do something about it, it becomes late. You cannot go back in time and create certificates for that matter. You might not have enough time to actually learn something or show relevant experience for your interview. So with your preparation, make sure you're doing things which add to your profile. Also, personally, it is good because once you've worked in an area, so you go in for an internship and you realize, okay, this genuinely is a field for me. It gives you more confidence. It gives you more power to go after your dream, right? So that is mostly all for today. Thank you very much for your time. If there are any questions related to what you can do specifically, please get in touch and maybe we can talk about all of this in the upcoming videos as well, right? So thank you.